Hello Year 3s and welcome to your math lesson today. Starting off with our arithmetic. Here's the 3 columns for you: bronze, silver and gold. Bronze is 8 times table and 9s. Silver, there's a pattern of increasing and then it decreases. See if you can work out what that pattern is and perhaps predict the next number in the sequence as your answer. See how you go. And then we've got missing numbers, changes of order of the in gold, of the number sentences in gold, and you have to do a little bit of division at the end. 5 times something is 25, so you could do how many lots of 5 are there in 25 and then count up the jumps and count up the steps. Okay, you're using your your knowledge of those times tables for that one. Okay, so pause the video so that you can get those done and get ready to mark them when you're finished. Restart the video. Okay, so ready to restart. I'm going to put the answers in for you. There's the 8s going up there, and then on number 6 we start from the 9s, and then you've got the silver. There's some very weird and wonderful patterns created in that. Did you manage to predict the way that the 10s, the 1s and the 100s were going? Were they going up or down? And you know, start to see those patterns. It's really useful. And here's your dividing questions that look now as if they are times table questions, but those missing number ones are showing that you can manipulate numbers in equations, so it's really good practice for you. So your starter today, this is very similar to the work that we were doing yesterday, and can you tick the correct weight under each scale? It's either in grams or kilograms, so you have to use a little bit of your knowledge and understanding of practical maths for this. So roughly how much would a sort of like, you know, a bowl of strawberries mixed with blueberries be? Are they likely to be in grams or kilograms? Again, think of that, you know, that amount of a pile of flour like that. Is it going to be 1 gram or 1 kilogram? And then you've got the 66 grams for your orange. 1 orange, is that likely to be, all the little tangerine things, is it likely to be 66 kilograms or 66 grams? So you're going to work out that and tick the right answers, hopefully. And for that one, your tick should be grams for the strawberries, 1 kilogram of flour there, and grams for the 1.5, by the looks of it, 1.5 oranges. Okay, so comparing weights, if you're the core, if you're on call challenge, tick the word that describes the weight of the pineapple, and you can see that the scales have dipped for one, so one's going to be heavier than the other. Is it going to be equal to the other, or is it going to be lighter? So you're thinking of the weight of the pineapple. Is that lighter than the orange, equal to the orange, or heavier than the orange? Which one are you going to tick for that one? You should have put in there that it's heavier than the orange. Okay, so reading scales today between 100 gram mark. So this is working out what when you're reading scales, you're going to work out these intervals, these gaps in the scale, because you're going to have it pointing midway. So we'll have a little look at that, and meanwhile you can have a talk about this. So have a little talk out loud, see if you can answer the questions and work out how we would manage to do this, work out exactly how heavy this bowl of blueberries is. Okay, so have a little talk with somebody there or speak out loud. Okay, so we've got the bowl of blueberries is more than 200 grams, and you can see by this scale that it's more than 200 grams, and it's less than 300 grams, because obviously we're having a look at this scale. It starts from this side, it doesn't go that way, we're starting clockwise. So it goes 100, 200, 300, and this arrow is pointing somewhere between the two. Okay, so how are we going to manage that? Well, we'll come to that in a second. We'll just have a look at this bottom one actually. What is the other unit of measure for mass? So if we get up to 800 grams, 900 grams, 1000 grams, we did very quickly talk about this yesterday, you would get to 1 kilogram, and that's your other unit of measure. So having a look at these scales then, if you look at these scales, if you look at 100, 200 here, and you were to stretch it out just like it was on a number line, there are 10 small chunks, 10 small marks between 0 and 100 grams. So if you've got 10 jumps going up to 100, how much is this going to be worth? Well, it's going to be 100 divided up into 10 chunks. So 100 divided by 10 is 10. So we know that each one of those chunks, each one of those intervals there is going to be 10 grams. So each mark here is worth 10 grams. Each mark here is worth 10 grams when you're jumping up. So it's just like a stretched out number line, and it can be really useful to think of a scale like that. And if it was halfway through, you would have, so if you had halfway through this scale, if you had that on a number line, halfway through would be 50. So it's really useful to make that link between a number line. So here we've got a number that is going to be between 200 and 300 on that number line. The sections that are not marked are called intervals. Okay, so these are intervals along here. They're sort of gaps. So I've moved the number line along a little bit because we don't need that 0 to 100, because we're looking at the numbers between 200 and 300. So how are we going to do that? We've got each interval here is worth 10 grams, and the arrow, if we count around, is 6 intervals from 200. Okay, and I've put it on this line for you as well. I find these really hard to read on here, so if I count round, I can see where it stops. It's about here. Okay, 1, so that's 10. So, oh goodness me, I'm just going to count them. 1 interval, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think it's gone to 6 there. I find this quite hard to do, and when I usually do it, if I'm looking really carefully at it, I use a ruler just to extend that, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So if you've got 6 intervals along that line there, then we know, and each interval is worth 10, so we can just count on from this previous mark that we know, and we will jump on in 10, so we can count forward in 10. So it would be 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260, and that would get us to the arrow. If we do it on here, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260, then we've got the answer. So the 6th interval from 200 grams is 260, so it's 260 grams. So our guided practice now, and we're going to have, you've got some scales to read today, so this is going to be really handy. So we've got the scale going up in, these are grams again, because that's always worth having a look at what the measurement, what the unit of measure the scale is measuring. So how heavy is each thing? Find its mass, and we know that the mass is equivalent to, in basic terms, it's equivalent to how much it weighs. The mass of the box of grapes is, well, we're starting up at 100 here, and we know that these intervals today are worth 10. They're not always, and they will change this week, but we're just getting ourselves used to a nice Intuit with a nice sort of simple way of getting this started. So we've got 100 plus another 2 intervals here, and 200 was right down the bottom. So we'd say 210, 220. So the mass of the grapes is 120 grams. This is a big one coming up here. And the mass of this box of kiwis is, right, so here we've got a number, that's the kiwis are going to, the mass of the kiwis is going to be between 200 and 300 grams. Now this arrow is quite a long way away from here, and I think it's going to the 7 here, so we've got 5, 6, 7. If it doesn't quite reach the edge, this is just a little Mrs. Ludlow trick really. If you want to use a ruler and you lay it along that line of the arrow so that it's really straight, don't sort of try and use your finger because it will, wobble along. If you can eyeball it and just guess it, then that's really good if you're accurate. But Mrs. Ludlow isn't very accurate with these sorts of things. So I tend to just put a little ruler up on my hand, and then I can see then it's on the 5 and then 6 and then 7, and I know I've got it right then. Okay. So if you're not sure, you get a ruler out and just lay it along there and see what you get to. So we would count from 200 and then 7 intervals of 10, 210, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260, 270. There's my 7 intervals of 10, and then so our mass of the box of kiwis is going to be 270 grams. Woohoo! I'm very excited about that. Oh my goodness me! It's a little star that seems to be having a little bit of a dance there. So our steps to success today. Looking at the mark sections of the scale, so you're looking at the grams on there. So the intervals that are not marked on there are 10 grams. Okay, so the marked sections are the 100 grams on your scales today. The unmarked ones are worth 10, the little tinies. So you're going to count up the number of intervals from the 0 or that 100 number and stop when you get to the arrow. And then you can step forward by counting in your tens, put your answer in and write your G for grams. So that's it really. I've got the questions coming up now, so if you do work from those, they are on the next part of the video, and that's okay today. I reckon you'll get on all right with that. So have a go and write your answers underneath each one of those the scales, and I hope that goes really well for you. All right, I'll put the questions up now. And obviously if you don't need those, that's fine, you can just obviously stop the video, or you can, if you're printing that out, that's absolutely fine, but we put those on for people that haven't got printers. Lots of us haven't got printers, and hopefully you'll be able to get that work done. All right, take care now, bye.